Hey everyone. Today we're going to be going over an 18 Academy that we did earlier this week. Um, as normal, I'm always looking for things that I can do better, and if there's anything that other people are able to pick up or are able to let me know about that I could do better, that'd be greatly appreciated. So we're going into it. We have kind of a different comp here. We've got a Havoc Demon Hunter, a Rep Pally, Enhancement Shaman, and a Prop Pally. So going into the first pull, I already know that one of the things I can be doing better is getting out some damage in this pull. I'm just always so focused on the tank's health and trying to make sure that he doesn't just get one tapped. But as I get into the higher keys, I know people are playing the Dream of Cenarius and Moonkin builds that they're pumping out a lot of damage and helping. It is a lot of AoE sort of cleave on all these guys, but still it's something I need to be more aware of. I do get in there. I should get my Heart of the Wild Feral Frenzy out, hopefully. Hopefully I put it on a Lasher. I just don't throw it out, but we'll see. Cool. I do target a Lasher, and I get out my Feral Frenzy and a Rip, so that's good. That'll be a little bit of extra prior damage going on to that guy. And right now what I'm doing is I'm just watching the tank's sort of cooldowns, looking for a place for him to send Bark. I believe he is a dwarf, so he can get rid of one of the bleeds on his own. He has his Divine Protection bubble he can use. Yeah, so it looks like we had a little bit of an overlap. It's not terrible because Bark lasts so long, but it would be great to have him in comms to be able to say one way or another as to like when I should send it. But all in all, this pull seems to be going pretty well. In the higher keys that I've been doing, the tanks tend to save these skitter flies and pull them into the boss. So we get the last Lasher dies, the RP starts, and then we go into the boss with like a little bit of extra funnel. They will still pounce on your team, so making sure that they get soothed is something that you can do to help lower the damage, especially going into the boss fight. Alright, cool. So we pull the Overgrown Ancient, and there's a couple of things that I can point out that I do that may be helpful to people going forward. The sort of pattern that I do is I like to Bark Skin on the Branch Out, and then Bear Form Frenzied Regen on the Burst Forth. So let's see what we do. Right now, we're just kind of hanging out in melee, getting our dots out, doing our damage. There's not a lot of damage going around right now. So I do Bark Skin the Branch Out. I get some hots out on the team. That's great. This boss is a really good example of if I wanted to add more damage to the boss and to the encounter, I probably could. I don't need to use Convoke defensively here. I should be able to heal up everything just with, my normal rejuve and regrowth. I just like to save Convoke because it's a nice way to offload some mental pressure. So there we go. We get the Germination, the Burst Forth. I do use that Bear Form. I didn't use the Frenzied Regen. Didn't really need to. When we're looking at the poisons going on to the tank, some tanks have Poison Dispel. But I like to dispel it around 20 stacks. That way, if you dispel it too early, you have an 8-second period where you can't do anything about it, and you can end up getting a lot of stacks in that time, so 20 seems to be a good spot, at least for me. Okay, tank's doing a good job. He's got his defenses for the Bark Breaker. As I'm watching this right now, I'm not really thinking about or tracking the tank's defensives, but if I had to guess, I might Iron Bark him next time if I don't see anything rolling, but we'll see what I do. Another Burst Forth. Yeah, I didn't even need to Bear Form it. Okay, cool. I'm letting that poison stack up, getting a little bit of swipes out. 20 stacks, yeah, tank cleared it himself. We had a little bit of overlap there, which is fine. We're on the same page. Here comes the next Germinate, going into a Branch Out. I do have my Bark Skin, so let's see if I use it. Yep, there's there's the bark scene. So again, one of the things that I'm finding is when you have places that you can plan on using your defensives, like a scripted damage event, it always just helps kind of smooth things out. So that's something that can be useful that maybe other people can incorporate into their own gameplay. And if you have any suggestions as to where might be a better place to send it, let me know. Going into the Guardian Sentry, there's really not much to say. I hot up the tank, I try to stealth if I can, and then I just drop off some bleeds. I'm okay to send my Heart of the Wild and my Convoke as DPS. There's no damage here that can really hurt anything, as long as your tank is pushing its buttons. There are times in this encounter where I will just hang out and maybe send some wraths from ranged. I like to get as much cat damage as I can, but I'm always a little bit scared of the tornadoes. Sometimes, you know, if there's a lot of tornadoes in melee, rather than risk an accidental death, I just dip out. You know, our damage isn't that significant anyway. Okay, so the sentry's going down, and then we're gonna have the 3 bird packs on the Talon Toss field. It's gonna be the next set of trash. The things that are really good to think about is this first set has a lot of bleeds. The second set has 1 Alpha Eagle, I think it's called, which will do the AoE Screech, and then the third set is the Dangerous pack that has the two Eagles doing their shouts. So you want to do your best to not send any defensives or throughput cooldowns on this first or second pack. I mean, as always, if you really feel like you need to for the health of the group, you can go ahead and send something, but you shouldn't need to, and it'll set you up in a bad spot for the actual heal check. So we're just throwing out some bleeds, trying to get a little bit of extra damage in. It's nice to stealth in between the packs if you can. There's the Alpha Eagle. He's like my main target, so I go ahead and throw out, throw out my DPS buttons. I probably could have held that for the next pack. So after the Wind Gust comes the Raging Screech. This won't one-shot you, and there's no follow-up damage on this pack, so you may feel like you need to send something because it's kind of a scary hit, but it's really not that dangerous. There's a little bit of a upfront damage with no follow through, so as long as your tank is healthy, the rest of the group can get topped up sort of naturally through your wild growth and your symbiotic blooms and stuff. Okay, so here's the Alpha Eagle pack. Let me see how I handle this. I believe what my plan is I send a Convoke after the first one with no defensive. Yeah, perfect. So I have my Convoke, and we immediately can Swift Mend if we need to, but it looks like we're topped up with just our Hots rolling. They do, every Screech that they do gives them a sort of stacking enrage that can be soothed off. So it's a nice thing to be able to do that. Cool. Now I'm just applying some extra bleeds. The next Screech is coming out. I do send my Bark Skin, just to help keep us healthy, so I didn't have to send a second throughput cooldown. And if you saw, what I did was I popped a Nature Swiftness Swift Mend regrowth for big group healing from a regrowth that way. So going into that pack, as long as you have a plan, then you're kind of golden. Now we're going into Croth, and this was a boss that I had a little bit of trouble on, and wanted to share some of the things that I picked up as I was trying to do this on an 18. I ended up getting fairly comfortable on the boss, but the thing that this boss is really about, at least for me, is making sure that you get early regrowths out, so you can really capitalize on that improved regrowth talent. So you see here I'm spreading regrowths right before the shout. It was a little bit early, but that's okay. They're going to end up falling off, but when you have those regrowths out on your team, what it's going to let you do is you can Swift Mend into that regrowth and hit 3 people with pretty much a 100% crit chance regrowth. It's really nice for helping him get topped off. One of the things that I've noted in in my gameplay rather, is that I try to keep Swift Mend on cooldown as much as I can. And for both Croth and Veximus, they're great examples as to like having a little bit more control and restraint, saving that Swift Mend so you can use that Soul of the Forest when you really need it. So I did send my I did send my Convoke on that last Screech, which is fine. It should be up for the next phase. So here we go into the win phase. Let's see if I grab it right away. I do. I should be waiting a little bit to pick that up, so I have it for a bit longer. Right before this first Screech is the better time to pick it up. So, as I said earlier, pre-regrowthing, go into bear form. I have the option to frenzy regen for every other one, I believe. And just spamming some wild growths and regrowths. We do have that haste buff from the orb, which is really nice. This fight is very cyclical in the damage pattern, so you do have some time to get in there and apply some bleeds if you're playing cat weaving. See if I barks you. No, I don't. I frenzy regen. No, I don't. Don't even do that. Again, just relying on that regrowth to do a lot of the heavy lifting. I don't have as much rejuve coverage as I should. I probably need a little bit more to help with the mana economy, but it's sort of getting the job done. We push the boss into the phase, and yeah, so right now is a good time to reapply your bleeds, and then start ramping up. This next phase really does kind of hurt from an HPS perspective. So things to think about when you're going into this final phase is how do you want to layer your defensives and your throughput cooldowns. So as the boss hits that intermission, that's going to be the lust timer. So you have 30 seconds of lust. We've got about 10 seconds left on that, 15 seconds or so. So I'm probably going to hit a Convoke right here. And then after that, I wouldn't be surprised if I roll that into a combat potion. So let's see what I do. Yep, so I do pop one of my combat potions. I have kind of mixed feelings about whether or not to use the Light's Hope versus the Potion of Recklessness. But cool. So we did that, it helps us carry through. If I really need for the next Screech, I had Tranquility sort of lined up. And then following that, I would have probably a Convoke. So we were in good shape. We do come out of that. I always come out of that fight a little mana hungry. So I try to beat the rest of the team to the platform to get a quick drink in. So one tech that I wish I had learned a little bit earlier is how people in higher keys are dealing with these Vicious Ravagers. So the Vicious Ravager will ambush the person that's furthest away from the group. So you'll see that I keep it targeted, and I try to stand right in the middle of its hitbox. You see that giant circle sort of targeting reticule? I stand right in the middle of that. If the whole team is stacked there, the mob will always leap onto the tank, and that's sort of how you want to play it. This is a good place to note that you can you can shadow meld the leap off, and rather than ambush you, he'll stay in place, face the tank, and then do his breath. So there is a way to be able to bait those if you really need to. You can use that as like a tactical drink, or you can just do that to take pressure off the tank. Or just use that as a way to dodge the mechanic if you find that you're out of position. Yeah, perfect example right there is the Demon Hunter was out of the group, he baited it, got the charge, and melted it right off. Cool, so we're pulling in the Foragers and then going over to the Battle Axe pack. There isn't a ton to talk about on this trash pack, other than the Battle Axes really hurt the tank, so being sort of mindful of that. You do get these circles that go out, and that's kind of the majority of the damage, aside from the stops and kicks that have to happen with the surge. This pack takes a little while. so it's kind of a free place to send Convoke early if you want to. You can use your Bark Skin if you get one of those circle debuffs if you really need to, but it doesn't seem like it's kind of a pre-planned place. So this is a really big pull. A lot of this pull is going to be on the tank and DPS to get the stops I need for the books and the surges. It's probably kicks on the surges, stops on the books, but that's a them problem, not a me problem. The main thing that I need to focus on in this pack is being in the hitbox of that Ravager. So it's going on the Pally right now. Let's see if I let him die. Yeah, I let him die. I was in a bad spot. I didn't know which way it was going to face, so I didn't have time to cast the regrowth that I needed. It's like I'm hitting Convoke to catch up a little bit. So, let's see, is it going to turn around? It does not. Good, we're in an okay spot. Textbook got me sleeping. I do have in-cap roar if I need it in this place. I normally don't run that talent. I actually was doing Aspire before this, so I left it on accident. But it works out because it's good to be able to stop the surges and the monotonous lectures if you really need. There you go. It's a really good example of I was in a bad position. I was going to get leapt on, and I chose to Shadow Meld. It would have been nice if I took a quick sip right there to get a little bit of mana back, but you know, it's fine. I do have my Bark Skin available, and I'm not too worried about mana right now because I know that I should have a couple of seconds to drink before the boss spawns during the RP. So again, positioning myself right in the center, keeping the hots on the tank. He's gonna get the ambush. I wonder if he runs away with it or if he comes back towards me. I baits it over to the side. I need to pan my camera out to see what's over there. Yeah, cool. So there's these two packs, and after that you have the RP. Sometimes the tanks will pull the little Ravager worm things over to the side. If they do that, you might not be able to get a drink, but you should have a a Shadow Meld to be able to get out of combat if you need. Yeah, we overlapped a whole bunch of stops right there, but that's okay. Rather overlap a little bit than have something go off. Looks like the tank is cutting the battle axes. I sent him a ping just to let him know that I gave him Iron Bark. And I'm using my Typhoon to push to make sure that those lectures didn't go off. Again, being in a coordinated group would be nice because you can sort of prevent overlaps on your stops and call out who's doing what, but since it's a PUG, you just kind of play on vibes. Cool, so we get out of combat. I do have a chance to sit down and drink before he gets those little forager worms. Boss is doing the RP. I apply my bleeds. I probably shouldn't. I have mixed feelings about that. It's nice to get them out, but really those mobs are not for me to be bleeding. Those mobs are for the DPS to be able to get funnel into the boss. That being said, I hate those mobs. They jump on people at the worst time, and they can kind of just one-tap people if they take if the foragers stay alive during the arcane bombs phase or mana bombs, whatever it's called. Cool, so we're going into the mana bombs. This is another place where I want to emphasize your Swiftmen control. I used to have a really big problem healing this phase, and what I've found is regrowthing, going into a Swiftmen regrowth really helps out. Arcane Fissure's coming out. It's a great place to send your personal and then a throughput cooldown. And one thing to watch is the timing, and I'm actually going to go back just a little bit. So this part of the fight always used to get me because I wanted to hold on to my Convoke and my throughput cooldowns until after the fissure was coming out, and that's not the play. After 2 ticks of the bombs, you want to send your Convoke or your Trank or however you're going to heal the team up so that everyone is perfectly healthy before the cast of the Arcane Fissure. So the timing on that was something that it took me a little bit of time to understand. It probably should have been a lot more obvious, but you know, here we are, and at least I'm learning from doing these reviews, right? Mana bombs are coming out. Get some regrowths. I don't have a Swiftman to lean on, so Pally's gonna take a little bit of damage. Top of the team off. One other thing too to note is I tend to not drop my bombs off all the way at the edge. I'll play more in the middle just because I need to be in range of the team. So regrowth, Swiftman, nature swiftness, regrowth. Heal up the team. There's the fissure. We were all pretty healthy going into that. I had the option to trank, and I had the I had my combat potion still available. If I had to guess at the moment, I think I just missed the timer completely on that. That being said, your team should be sending personals on the fissure rather than the sort of mana bomb portions of it. Cool. So we're getting our orbs. Throwing out some rejuves. Mana bombs come out. See another, you know, another good. Oh, there we go. Yeah, team was perfectly healthy. That's another good example of how having Swiftman control and making sure that it's available for that mana bombs phase really just helps take care of the team. So I'm happy that's something that I learned to be better on and get to share. So wild growth is out, so it looks like a regrowth, should be a Swiftman, nature swiftness regrowth, team is healthy. I wonder if I'm going to do this whole fight without using Trank, or if I send it at the end to just play safe. I do not have a personal for this. Yeah, okay. So I didn't have a personal. I did send the Trank just to be, you know, super cautious. It works out pretty well. Almost have a little bit of a collision there with the Demon Hunter. Cool, boss is dead. Sneak in a drink. And we're going on to sort of the home stretch. One of the reasons why I hate this dungeon is you have so much going on in the last pull going into the boss with the Echo Knights. They can be a really tough encounter, and it just stinks that you have to, you know, fight for 28 minutes just to get to the portion where you're gonna brick. But not much going on here in these two packs. I think the tank is trying to make up for time, although I feel like we're super far ahead. But we're dragging the pack forward. It's a full melee group, so it doesn't really matter. We have the ability to do that. From my perspective, what I was thinking about was, one, I wanted to crowd control these guys on the left if I needed to. If I had to push someone in during a surge, I had that ability to get the stop. And now that the pack's dying, what I want to do is I want to go into travel form and get as far ahead of the tank as I can, so that I have the ability to start drinking right when he gets out of combat. Cool, so I have that little bit of a head start. Helps me fill up my mana bar. And we should be in a good spot going into the next pull. So we have these Echo Knights. They're pretty nasty. For this first one right here, since it's only with the two casters, we have a lot more flexibility or sort of leeway in topping up the group than we do when we're pulling the double Echo Knight pull. If you're running in-cap Roar, you can send it right at the end of the Arcane Smash if you want to, and that'll do two things. One, it'll help make sure that any bolts that were going out are stopped, and two is that it puts you into bear form so that you can frenzy regen immediately after the smash hits to help get yourself topped up. So something will look like bear form, frenzied regen, swift mend, and then either a rejuve or a regrowth. Probably a rejuve to help get the healing out onto the team and top everybody up. So this was a resilient key, and we had made it this far in the previous attempt. So what we're going to see here is a double Echo Knight into the boss. I don't know if that's like a typical sort of pull, but it's what the tank did on his route. So it's double Echo Knight into the boss with Lust. And I guess that's a kind of a good place to talk about the Echo Knights and the way that they function. So these Echo Knights, what they're going to do is they're going to follow the tank around, hit the tank, and then they drop their sort of mirror image type thing with the circle that spins and chases you. It drops it on the position of one of the non-tank players, and so what you want to do is you want to bait those away so you can line of sight the smash. Unfortunately, like where we were all positioned, we didn't have anything we could really line of sight. They were out there in the open, so that was personal like defensive cooldown plus a throughput cooldown to help get you through that. So we have the vacuum. I should be able to line of sight around one of these corners. Yeah, I'm gonna send Trank here because I have to get everybody topped up. This is such a dangerous pull. It's really not my favorite, and it would be nice to know about ahead of time. So since I'm not in a good spot to be able to line of sight anything, I'm really focusing on the cast timers that you can see up on the top middle of my screen to make sure I'm in bear form. See, does Pally die? Yeah, Pally dies. Making sure we dodge all the balls. Oh, I'm in a bad spot. I should probably go and convoke. Yeah, just to help catch the team up. Alright, one Echo Knight left. I think he probably has one more smash in him. Let's see. Yeah, there's a smash. Oof. Pally's down again. I don't know if he had anything for that. Luckily, we were playing pretty smooth this run, and we only had one death prior to that with no battle res used. So we had all 3 charges going into this boss. As far as going over the boss itself, there isn't really much to talk about. Drop your puddles off in a good spot. That's probably a bad puddle on my end right there. And I tend to play this boss pretty conservatively in terms of DPS. There are times where I should be able to get more bleeds out. Like right there, I probably could have popped a couple of combo points on and put out a rip. So I should be more mindful of that, doing that in the power vacuum. But I like to make sure my team's nice and healthy. I send early convokes, like at the first sign of the team being stressed. Yeah, exactly. I did not need to use that there, but it's more of a comfort thing. You know, I should identify what a better place to bark skin during this fight is, but I don't really know. Cool. I think I'll probably look into getting something like mini CD or omni CD or whatever it's called nowadays, just to help track the paladin defensives, because I saw that he used spell warding, I saw that he used whatever that orange like cooldown thing was. So right now, if I'm like replaying this in my head, I think he's dry for the next blast. So I bet you I send an Iron Bark. Yeah, I do. See if he has anything. Not that I can see, so. Looks like he popped wings. Unless. Oh, yeah, both Pallies popped wings. So maybe he would have been okay, maybe he wouldn't. Yeah, I guess I won't know. Overall, I mean, in terms of DPS, I did a decent job keeping Heart of the Wild on cooldown when I could. I think I ended up with like 12k overall, which was, you know, it's decent. I believe it was like an orange parse or whatever, for whatever that's worth. Healer damage parses are kind of a meme, especially Resto Druid, and especially like Wild Stalker Resto. But at least we're trying, right? Put out a rep, cool. Run out. Yeah, and my damage on this boss also reflects the Echo Knights too, which is pretty healing intensive. Cool, so that's the key. I definitely got a lot out of progging this on the 18, and yeah, I got a lot out of Progny on the 18, and hopefully some of the things that I picked up on and I was able to share will help you as you're trying to climb your ladder too. Um, More to come. I've got some 18s coming for Windrunner Spire and Skyreach that I'll probably do later this weekend. But that's the key. If you guys liked it, please feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. All right, thanks.